Hi, we're here today with Dr. John McElligott, the Medical Director of St. Christopher Fund, and he is going to be talking with us concerning smoking cessation and what that looks like. I know we've had some new people join our program over the past month or so, and they haven't gotten the opportunity to see Dr. John yet. So he's going to be telling us a little bit about cravings and just the effects of smoking on the body. And we will be taking questions if anyone has questions as well, or you can leave comments. Welcome. Thank you for being here with me and being willing to talk to all the drivers and people out there about tobacco.
Well, it's my pleasure, and we're looking at the St. Christopher charts, and today we've got a record low cancers. We only have 3, but what's important about them is their age 43, 40, and 46. And most likely they will have a long treatment process that will still lead to the ultimate consequences, which is death. So it's really hard on us to do that, and this is one thing that if you can quit smoking, which your chances are slim to none unless you really have a reason to quit. And most of the time it's a heart attack, stroke, cancer, and then sometimes it's too late to do anything about it. But the craving part of smoking is probably the easiest part to get through. It takes about 2 weeks, sometimes 3. The problem is you get the feeling so good when you get through that part. You're over it. You can move on. Is you say, gosh, I feel so good, I think I'm going to have a cigarette. And bam, there you go, you're smoking again. And the ability to quit is between your ears. There are assisted devices, like for instance, I had a guy come in with pneumonia today, and he's a supervisor actually. And I actually put him on grinds, the little pouch you put in your mouth, and it takes the urge away. Has no nicotine in it, but it has some other things like caffeine, stuff like that. And it works pretty well, especially in those early stages when you have that hand-to-mouth urge. And not ever having smoked, I don't know what that is, but I don't know what most people, it's probably food. In my case, I would think that might be it. But you have to kind of think about the things that are going to make you want to smoke. For instance, being around a smoker. I tell people if they have a wife or a husband that smokes, their chances of quitting are slim to none. And if you do it together, it's easier. Mm-hmm. If you do it in a group like you are in now, pick up the phone and call somebody. What do you think we do with Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that? We have them get a sponsor. When they get that urge to go crazy, then they call that sponsor and he talks them out of it. So that's kind of what we need to do with this. You need to find somebody that really wants to quit or has quit. And unfortunately, all the ones that are really quitting are disabled. You know, they've had heart attacks, strokes. They're the ones that quit. Using assisted devices, again, it may help. I don't discourage it, but I don't want you to think that, well, it didn't work for me. Well, it didn't work for you because you didn't want it to work for you. And that's just the way it is. So that's kind of where we're at today. And unfortunately, it's the biggest killer of truckers is smoking and dipping. And you take them all together and put them in there, we could figure out a way to separate them out and really get the real numbers. It would be the leader, and just like it is in real life, it's the leading cause of preventable death.
So I have heard people on our Rigs Without Cigs Facebook page, our group that we have, people will send a message on saying, I'm having a craving right now and it's been a month since I've quit. Do those go away? And what is the best way you feel like to handle those cravings?
Well, usually a craving that far out is anxiety. And what you've done in the past, if you're a truck driver especially, is when you get anxious and you're driving, you smoke a cigarette. and people think it calms them down. Well, what it does is it distracts their brain from whatever the anxiety level is. So what I tell smokers that are quitting is, one, plan your day. Get it planned out from A to Z. And then when you get that feeling of anxiety, pull over and do your stretching. Go to the Dr. John's blog site where we've set up some things you can do and walk and exercise, and that gets rid of a little bit of the adrenaline that's released when you get anxious. So it's not a craving because of the nicotine. It's a craving because you're anxious. And if you look at people that start up again, and I've got some really good friends that are dying from having smoked, and I knew them when they would get anxious and nervous, and they'd start smoking. And they'd go from 1 pack to 4 packs, and then back to 1 pack. And they think because they're cutting down, it's going to help them. It only takes 1 a day to kill you. And these young men here that are probably going to be dead in a few years are living proof of that. So you want to die young, keep smoking.
So as far as what you're saying then, if I understand you correctly, if they are feeling that craving coming on and it's been a month or 2 months, that's just the result of an anxiety, and they need to maybe pull over or do something else that's going to distract their mind from that anxious moment. Typically, that could be a four-wheeler that's causing that anxiety.
Yeah, fix the reason why you're anxious. If it's something to do with not being able to be on time, smoking a cigarette's not going to get you there any quicker. If it has to do with a family person, pull over, call them, get it fixed. In my business, that's what I do. I do other things to get unanxious, but it's just what I do because I don't smoke and anything else, and I can't drink a beer during the middle of the day, so I do something that I know is going to work.
And a lot of times that could be just pulling over on the side of the road, doing some exercises,
could be,
calling someone.
Could be. Or I'll give you a hint. I'm just right down the street from where I go to church, so that's it. And I go and do that, and a lot of times that helps me for a long time.
Okay. So after someone has been smoke-free for a month or two, what can they feel like, should their body be feeling like at this point?
Usually, if they're young and they've not smoked for decades and decades, they will feel energetic. They will feel more alert. They'll feel that they're not having those peaks and valleys of fatigue, and that's usually what you feel. And unless you've smoked a long time, and then you're going to have a cough, and you're going to be bringing up stuff that's really nasty looking because it's in the bottom, I call it the cockles of your lungs, and you bring up the tar and all the stuff that's drained down in there. And I tell people when we do autopsies on people that die from lung cancer or smoking, you can literally, it looks like the tar you put on a street. It's that thick and tenacious. And then what happens is your lungs start working, and you've got these little cells, they're called cilia, and they start beating out all that. They start working again. Because after you smoke for years and years, they quit working. And everything just drains into the bottom of your lung. And that's why eventually you get emphysema. You start getting these big old balls of air that can't get out and trapped in your lung. And the next thing you know, you're going to be on oxygen. Come to the truck show and walk around and see how many people in wheelchairs that are on oxygen. And it's not just the truckers, it's their wives. And sometimes they smoke more than the husband does. So it's a family deal. It's not isolated to just one member. It's usually everybody. And then there's secondhand smoke for kids. Third-hand smoke gets in clothing, and it's almost as toxic.
So I know one thing that I heard one of the drivers say, that it had been about a month or so, and they still felt that really tired feeling. Is that due to the fact that tobacco is such a stimulant?
It not that long out. that far out, he's probably got other issues. It could be another disease. It could be diabetes. It could be all sorts of things. He could have gone to eating sweets. And when you have sweets and you quit eating them, all of a sudden your blood sugar drops. You get really anxious, trembly, and fatigued. And then, so it could be a bunch of things. It's an individual reaction. It's not the same in everybody.
Okay. Would you finish up our conversation today just telling people what to expect if they choose to continue to smoke and they don't quit?
Well, you will age quick. If you take a smoker at the age of 20 and a non-smoker, by the time they're 40, the smoker will look like they're 60. They will wrinkle up. They start getting this wet cough all the time. It sounds like they need to go, hawk up I call them loogies. It's an oyster. But it's almost sickening. And sometimes they'll cough and they'll just go shooting across the room. Oh. It's amazing what they do. And so that's one thing, is that you age, and your lungs age, everything age. And then everybody around you is going to get exposed to those carcinogens. And the other thing too, it causes your arteries to get hard, and you start having heart attacks like these guys that we were talking about. They have heart disease, and they're only in their late 30s and early 40s. You get kidney disease, you get all kinds of things. It's just, and it activates a lot of other cancers, not just lung and head and neck. I mean, you look at pancreatic cancers, a lot of times they're smokers, and they swallow a lot of nicotine and stuff that gets into the system. People have bladder cancer, and that runs in females predominantly, and they're usually smokers. There's all kinds of things I could go on and on about, but I'd have to get a book out and start reading again.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time and just telling us a little bit about what's going on with the smoking and ways to cope with different things going on with it, some strategies there, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Okay, and the other thing too is you'll smell better.
Absolutely.
And if you're a man, you'll attract more beautiful women.
All right, thanks so much.
You're welcome.